In today's Virgin Galactic Fridays episode, we will talk about the countdown for Virgin Galactic stocks, the next most important milestone for Virgin Galactic to take off. For you to have a whole blueprint about the second episode of my new series here on this channel, Virgin Galactic, we will have a small introduction to today's topic. We will talk about the stock performance. We will talk about the annual shareholders meeting. We will talk about the FAA commercial license approval, and we will talk about the next milestone. There's, so to say, countdown for the takeoff of Virgin Galactic stock. Now, before we diving in, I would highly appreciate if you just smash the thing out of the like button. I highly appreciate this. There's hours and hours of work that going into every single piece of content, and I'm one of the most hardworking financial stock investing YouTuber out there, so a small like for the channel would be highly appreciated. So without further ado, let's roll. The Virgin Galactic stock was, as usual, a little bit volatile, but this week was not a big mover. So as you can see, the week started somewhere around 16.29 levels, and as of this recording, it's 16.16 pre-market. It's going a little bit down, so it's maybe a good opportunity to buy more if you are convinced about the long-term perspective. I personally buy more under, maybe around 14 levels. I load up a lot at 15 already, at 16, and I'm happy with my starter position, but this should be much more over time. So I'm rebalance my portfolio a little bit over the next week, and if this stays at this level, I definitely buy more, because I'm in the opinion, if you don't sell a stock, then you are convinced about the overall position, about the overall story, about the management, about the vision. And it's always think about the long term, guys. Nobody can predict why the stock don't go up when the market go up, why the stock goes up when the market goes down, why it's so much volatile on the one or the other day. Yes, there's news. Yes, the news can impact the stock a lot because it's a small company as of now. It's a very volatile stock, and it's a moonshot, as so to say. So, I believe that overall it's a great business that has a huge potential as soon as news are out that they are reaching their commercial license and all of this other milestones that we will discuss in the other part of the vlog. Then I can see this guy going back to very high levels. We saw the levels that we saw back in February was 37 here on the 18th of February. This was the recent all-time high. And by then, I remember an interview saying by Shamas, he don't think that this is a bubble stock. Back then, okay, in a weaker market. So I'm very happy how everything goes for now. And I hope we can hold this level a little bit longer, so I have time with my portfolio to rebalance a little bit and move a little bit more into space. So as a public company, shareholders are having always an annual meeting, and also the space company Virgin Galactic had to make this kind of first annual shareholder meetings ever, and therefore this happened in the beginning of this month, and it was not, big, no many questions and so on. So you can go into the investor relations site, listen to the webcast. It was like a 13-minute presentation, and the agenda was quite easy, and there was not much to say. There was the election of directors, there was the ratification of appointment of an accounting firm, there was the approval on advisory non-binding basis of compensation of the executives, and last point was the frequency of future advisory votes on compensation. I believe that because Virgin Galactic is still a very not known company, there was not many people that join this meeting. You as a shareholder, if you are already one, have the opportunity to go or visit this shareholder meetings, also vote for this kind of decision for the company. This is great as an feature that you have as shareholder. However, the most shareholders, or the biggest shareholders like Shamas or Richard Branson, obviously, have the most voting power, and therefore those decisions are not that big as of yet. But later on, those decisions can be acquisition of companies, and things like this that really depending on the future of companies. And therefore, next year at the same time, maybe you will be part of that and can vote for what you think will be the best for Virgin Galactic. One of the next big milestones and checklist points is the FAA approval for the commercial license. So as similar to an airline, they have to get this FAA license, and they are just a couple of steps away from, exactly 2 steps away from getting the license, and therefore this is the next step. And I found an email here saying the following: Virgin Galactic continues to work steadily towards our goal of opening space for good. We've achieved important milestones in recent weeks, from preparing for our next flight to the first ever stockholder meeting for a human spaceflight company, us. Following our recent flight at Spaceport America, our engineering teams have been hard at work with their critical important for data review. This is actually, by the way, this is the data review of the last flight. This is always so important to fly, collect data, read, interpret, improve, and so on and so forth. With that review now completing, we are preparing for the next Spaceship Two test flight. In addition, we have progressed on the path to our FAA commercial license for Spaceship Two, with only 2 steps left to a full license, working with the FAA to ensure that our flight operations are safe and responsible remains our guiding North Star. So you can see here also a small anecdote to the space, and this will be the next thing that will be also important for our milestone, which you will see later in the vlog. Now, I know many of you guys are not that patient. Okay, I know this, I was there, I've been there, but for this long-term visions, guys, you need to be very, very patient, because in terms of changing the world, sometimes you need to break barriers that nobody did before, and therefore some regulatory things are necessary as well. But I have put together a rough timeline that you can expect over the next couple of months and weeks that could push also the stock very high. Though in my personal opinion, it can stay low as that, or even lower for a couple of more months. I want to load up my position to make a really big and tasty profit once this go further. So as longer it stays lower, as better it is. So let's dive to the first big milestone that I think will happen. This will be the Q2 earnings, which will happen around the 14th of August. It's not confirmed yet, but it's expected that way. So we have seen that always at the earnings there was something going on. So either there was a agreement with NASA, there was some test flights, and we know, this is one of the most important part, how many new reservations were done. We then will know how the space effect of, or the space momentum of SpaceX and other things that we discussed in the first episode will impact the reservation numbers. Imagine the reservation numbers could gain 50%. This would be insane, because this is just a glimpse of future revenue for Virgin Galactic, and as many they have, it's better it is. Now, as of now, they have already more than $2 billion worth of reservations, which they don't even started, to accelerate the sales or reservation program. So you see how much power there is. This is something like, imagine the Virgin Galactic stock is now worth somewhere around $3 billion, and they have reservation for $2 billion. This will be the same like Tesla is worth $180 billion, and they have reservation for $150 billion. Okay, so that's the beauty about it. So let's talk about the next milestone. That is, in my personal opinion, the FAA approval, and also we will see some crew flights. So as you know, the CEO mentioned after the Q1 earnings that the FFA license, commercial license, is so important to them, and it's so something that they work very hard on that. And on the other side, they are then will equip the whole space shuttle, also the interior and so on. So they will take some crew, so employees on this first flight, and this will give us already a huge PR push for the final step that we will come in a second to it. But you can see that this, I expected somewhere, mid-October-ish. I think this is a realistic timeline where they should get all the approvals and fly some crew out there, and this will be super interesting, because this will give us much more exposure to new potential investors, and this is all about, right? You want that more people are buying into the stock, finally, that the price of the stock is rising. Now, the second and final step is something that the CEO also said they are focusing on for this year. That's why I put the timeline for about December, which is the flight with Richard Branson. And this will be a huge PR effect, guys. This will bring the stock to, I believe, to a new all-time high. We saw the stock already almost scratching the $40 mark, at least in the intraday, and I think the all-time high is somewhere around 37, so almost 3 times what we have now. So you see the huge potential into the stock. However, you never can expect that the stock, just because it was there, can come back there. But things take time. Something what happened with Tesla over a year from 180 to 1,000 per dollar per stock is unique. But if a company delivers the next steps and milestones, that you can see what is possible. And currently, the market environment was never better, with all of these recoveries going on, as well as so many more market participants, and moreover, so much money into the market by the government, by stimulus in hands of people. So we can be quite interested, and again, I'm super happy that the stock is at those levels as of now, so we can load up some more before we take off together.